Today we'll be changing the ball joints on a Peugeot 308 with the T9 body. It's not complicated, pretty standard stuff, but as always, I try to include a useful tip in each of my videos. This one's no exception, so make sure to watch till the end. So the process of replacing a ball joint starts with choosing the right one. Prices in Belarus are roughly as follows: just over $10 for Tech Narod brand, and $52 for Limforda, with other options falling somewhere in between. I personally bought an AS Metal brand for $16. Here's the part number. Inside, as you'd expect, is the ball joint. The reviews for AS Metal seem to be positive across the board. Let's take a look. The ball joint looks good. The kit naturally includes 3 washers, 3 nuts, and here's another nut. So it's a complete set. We've removed the old ones and installed the new ones. Everything's there. I'm not sure how long it actually lasts, but from what I've read online, everyone highly recommends it.
They say it's a great option for a relatively low price. It's from Turkey, by the way. All right, let's get to the point. The process is standard. We jack up the car, remove the wheel, and then the question arises: which puller to use? Which one to buy? I've done a lot of research on this. I asked around and settled on this one. It's a regular 12 mm bolt piece. The thickness of this rod is 11 mm, which fits perfectly. A 10 mm option would likely work too.
I tried an 8 mm, but it was too thin and didn't fit. Instead of this rod, you could use a chisel. That's what most people do. But firstly, I didn't have one handy, and secondly, it doesn't really matter what you use there. The important thing is the diameter or size. So how does it work? First, we jack up the car with the puller, remove the wheel, and then loosen this nut.
You don't need to unscrew it too much. About 5 mm is plenty. Just make sure you don't unscrew it completely. Now, let's put the wheel back on and lower the car. We'll insert our puller as shown in the video. It has a big advantage. Due to its shape and length, it won't fly off. It doesn't have sharp edges, so it won't tear the dust boot. But if something goes wrong and you end up tearing the old dust boot, you might be in trouble if you don't have a new part on hand. I personally tried to go until the point where now we can fully jack up the wheel, remove it, and be happy that we saved a good chunk of change by using ball joint pullers. Let's continue removing our ball joint. Not much to explain here. You'll likely need an 18 mm socket. If these are original ball joints, we'll unscrew these nuts and take everything apart. At the same time, we'll install the new ball joint and new nuts. I didn't really film the replacement process itself, but that's not the main point. The trickiest part is dealing with this bolt, screw, or nut, whatever you want to call it. Removing this nut is the most challenging part. Well, not exactly the nut, but getting the pin out, like this. I would strongly recommend starting with this, because if you can't do it, there's no point in continuing. Now, these 3 nuts here, 1, 2, 3, they should unscrew relatively easily. The main thing is to break them loose. After that, they'll come off smoothly. You might need to clean the threads a bit, but it's not too difficult. Everything comes off and it's all pretty straightforward. Everything's fine, you can put it all back together later. The trick is with this half axle. Look, to prevent it from boiling out and potentially leaking oil, you need to be careful with this part. The point is, when you remove the ball joint from here, you have 2 options. Either secure it with a wire so you can take a break, maybe grab a coffee, or you can't leave it at all. You'll need to hold the whole assembly in place with your knee to keep it from moving. It's not complicated, but you should have the second ball joint ready in your hand right away. So, once again, as soon as you've removed this entire structure, you need to immediately insert the second structure. Let me show you how to bait it. I've baited here and here. That's it. Now you can go for a walk, drink coffee or tea, chat, and then come back. You'll finish up this whole process. The main thing is to keep an eye on the strip so it doesn't fly out and the oil doesn't leak. That would be a fiasco, of course, a major failure. But other than that, everything's set. We've baited it, so now we just keep turning. This is what my old one looks like. Well, I guess that's about it. There's not much more to say here. We absolutely must drive into the camber. although personally I got a difference in degrees within the margin of error, but I think it's not worth risking your tires here if it starts to wear them down. Believe me, it will end up being more expensive than just doing the camber properly. So, that's all for today. Thank you all for watching and see you next time.